In today's automotive market, everything is sophisticated, overcomplicated, overstyled, and also maybe even confusing now with EVs becoming more prevalent in the automotive industry, where people are just looking for a point A to point B vehicle, no thrills, no cheap tricks. They want a car that's efficient, affordable, and also a car that is desirable to own as well. And that's a Toyota Corolla, but it gets even better if you go with the hybrid. Today we'll be taking a look at the 2026 Corolla LE Hybrid. This is the base model for the hybrid trims. It comes in below $30,000. There has been one minor update here for the interior. And in today's video, we're going to check out what the sedan has to offer. We're going to check out the exterior, the interior, take it out for a quick test drive, and see why this sedan is far from being boring, and in fact, might be an impeccable deal right now in the 2020s. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to AutoFair Toyota here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts for letting come down here to check out the Toyota Corolla Hybrid. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Toyota inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2026 Toyota Corolla LE Hybrid, you're looking at a starting cost of below $25,000. That is right. This is one of the very few cars you can buy here at around 25 grand in the US market. That's pretty impressive. That also means a lot to a lot of you looking for affordable transportation. As you can tell for the exterior, this car has not changed at all for 2026, and even better, there's no EV-like styling, no hybrid-like styling for the exterior. Everything carries over from the gas-powered model. Like I said before, no nonsense out of this sedan. Up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights here, which is great to see for a car coming in at $25,000. You're going to have that mesh grille design, which isn't functional up top. And then for the lower portion of the front bumper, there's your air intakes to help cool that 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine. Now, you're not going to have fog lights. You're not going to have functional side air curtains. So none of that here with the sedan. Not that it really needs it, but it would look a little more sporty and aggressive. Now, as you guys know, I do prefer the SE. I think the SE looks better here compared to the LE, but it is what it is. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, our model is sitting on the 16-inch steel wheels with the wheel covers. Now, you can go with 16-inch alloys as part of an optional package. We'll talk about that when we check out the interior. I personally would go with that optional package simply for the exterior design, because having wheel covers now in the 2020s does look a bit cheap, so I would go with the alloys, and also with that package, there's some great features for the interior. Also, you will have body color match side mirror caps. No surprises though, you're not gonna have turn signal indicators, but for 2026, for the LE, blind spot detection is now standard. This is now a standard feature. That is huge. That provides so much more value here to this sedan. Then as you make your way around to the back, you are going to have LED taillights. So full LED light setup here for a sedan coming in under $30,000. That's pretty nice. Also, you have your Toyota badge, then your Corolla and LE hybrid EV badges in that chrome design. For the lower portion of the rear bumper, you're going to have some cladding here, which I guess is okay. This is kind of typical for a car in this class, and you will have a visible exhaust outlet, which is kind of tucked beneath the bumper for that cleaner appearance. But all in all here for 2026, no major changes for the exterior. It's the same Corolla you all know and love for this generation. Powering our Corolla Hybrid today is going to be a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine and electric motors to produce a total of 138 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an eCVT. This is far and away below what you're going to find out of a Civic Hybrid. This is where I say this car has no thrills, no excitement, but it has the intangibles. And there's one advantage that this car has that you're not going to find out of Honda, and that is the fact you can go with all-wheel drive. Now, that does come at a cost of $1,400, but it might be worth it here if you're looking to get as much value as possible out of the sedan under 30 grand. Now, probably more importantly, though, is going to be that fuel economy. That's the main selling point here, why we're all here today. You're looking at right around 53 miles per gallon in the city and 46 miles per gallon on the highway. So you will not be going to the pump that much here with this car. It just sips up that fuel. So it gives you a great bang for your buck and extends your dollar just a bit more. Later on during this review, when we take this car out for a test drive though, the performance numbers might actually be very deceptive, so stay tuned. Hopping inside our Toyota Corolla LE Hybrid, we are greeted by manly adjustable cloth seats for both the driver and passenger. Now these seats are not heated, which I'm not surprised by because this car does come in at around $25,000. What I am surprised by though is that these seats are plush, they're supportive, the bolstering is aggressive. You wouldn't expect this in this class, especially for a car that isn't sports tuned. So on those weekday commutes, on those longer drives, you're going to find yourself very comfortable here. So it's economical, it's efficient, it's comfortable. That is a hat trick. Now in front of you will be some new technology, and we're starting to see this now in the Toyota lineup. So you now have a 7-inch digital gauge cluster. This is new for 2026. Now on the higher end, you can get a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. So Toyota is starting to move in the direction of technology, but it's not going to be too difficult to get used to here. On the left side of the steering wheel will be buttons that'll help you control this digital gauge cluster here. And from here you can scroll through a variety of information as your fuel economy statistics. Obviously, with this being a hybrid, your adaptive cruise control settings, your radio, then of course your driver info, and lastly you can adjust your safety systems here for lane departure warning, blind spot detection. I would leave all this on for added safety and assurance when you are driving on a daily basis. But this technology isn't going to be super in-depth or intuitive, but it does give you the basics, so I think a lot of you are going to like. Now, taking a look at the infotainment system, you are going to have an 8-inch touchscreen, which is actually decently sized for a base model in 2025, providing wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. Optional and available for the LE, you can get a wireless phone charging pad too, so that's really great to see. That'll be part of the $1,135 LE Premium package, which also gives you a push-button start, 16-inch alloy wheels for the exterior, and then remote keyless entry with lock, panic, and trunk release functions. So that's actually pretty cool here. I think it provides a lot of value for this base model. Now with this software, it carries over from 2025, so no differences here at all. You'll have quick access icons on the left side of the screen for your onboard navigation, which you still have to subscribe to, although if you connect your phone, you can just use Google Maps or Waze. Then your radio icon, your smartphone connectivity, then your vehicle and general settings. Very straightforward. It's not going to create any apprehension, in my opinion, and if you're someone who's not really tech-focused, this is the head unit to have. Interestingly enough, though, I was expecting this. You are going to have a rear backup camera, but no trajectory out of the LE. So take it slow, take it easy when you are backing out of tight spots or parking on city streets. Next to your head unit will be a physical dial for the volume knob. Love to see it. And then beneath the head unit will be actual buttons and dials for your climate control settings, your AC, front rear defrosters, fan speed, and fan direction. Love that tactile and analog experience here. Beneath that, you are going to find a cubby for a smartphone or a wallet, unless you go with that LE Premium package, which gives you a wireless phone charging pad. For the center console itself, some gloss black trim, which we have seen quite a bit here from the Toyota product line in the past. From here, you will have a drive mode selector, which is basically just an eco mode. So for the hybrid, it's eco, and then I guess more eco. And then next to that will be your traction control on and off, and then you will have an EV mode. Best of all, you will have the traditional gear shifter here, which gives you that old school layout. Then 2 cup holders. Next to that will be your auto vehicle hold and electronic parking brake. Then for the standard storage compartment, there is enough room for some smaller items, maybe a couple smartphones, wallets, or other tech gadgets. You're going to find a USB-C outlet and also a 12-volt outlet. And since we have the LE today, no power moonroof, but hey, I don't think that's really necessary here for this car coming in under $30,000. Then for passengers in the second row, the Corolla Hybrid provides a very respectable 35 inches of legroom. Now remember, this is still a sedan. It's a small, compact car. So don't expect to have a large family in this sedan. But if you're only going to have 2 people sitting in this car, I think everyone should be comfortable. Now, when it comes to headroom, obviously with the lower roof line, tall passengers might be hitting their head on the headliner. But legroom-wise, plenty of space here, very comfortable. Also, again, with the cloth seats, they're very plush, even for the second row. This is great to see. Now, I do think you can try squeezing in a third person in the center, mostly because of how much legroom there is in the second row. You will be fighting for that elbow room, though. But really, though, for a small compact car, you're not expecting much more than that. Interestingly enough, you're not going to have 2 center-mounted air vents, but you will have 2 USB-C inputs to plug in your smartphones. And what I really like here, out of an LE, you're going to receive a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now, making our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area. By going with the Corolla LE, you're looking at right on 13.1 cubic feet of room, which is pretty standard for a car of this size and in its class. It's not too far off the Honda Civic and would be very much in line with the Hyundai Elantra and Kia K4. But I think for those of you looking for a larger vehicle, you might want to go with the Corolla Cross Hybrid, which is very intriguing, but that comes at a premium cost. Or you had the Prius as well. For those of you looking at the sedan, though, specifically, I think you can store probably 6, 7, or 8 bags of luggage back here. What's more noteworthy is the fact that under the floor mat, you're not going to find a spare tire. Instead, it will be a fix-a-flat kit, which we see this all the time now in the hybrid markets, even with the Honda Civic Hybrid. So don't be surprised by that, but just keep that in mind. Obviously, you can lower the second row seats to maximize that practicality, but for an efficient and frugal car, it's providing more than enough here for weekday commutes. I genuinely thought I was going to despise this sedan in every way, shape, and form. For one, this generation is getting long in the tooth. It is very old compared to the Honda Civic. I'm waiting for a day to see that new generation pop up, but we're going to be waiting a few more years, I think. But then also when you take a look at the numbers, 138 horsepower, 105 pound-feet of torque, I thought to myself, Mike, what the heck are you getting yourself into here? This is the slowest car you have ever featured on the channel, at least on paper. So why is this car surprising me today? Why am I actually impressed with this somewhat older sedan in this class? Well, I think a lot of it is the pricing. At $25,000, you're getting a sedan that gets 50 miles per gallon combined. That is huge. For people who are looking for simple transportation, it all comes back to simple transportation because right now everything is too tech-focused, everything is complicated. For someone looking for a car like this, I think they're getting everything they want. They're getting cloth seats that are plush, that are comfortable, that are supportive. They're also getting a car that's frugal, that's efficient, and relatively practical. When you factor all that into the equation, you really can't fault this car. You can't sit there and hate on it, in a way. I mean, I can criticize it for the fact that it does feel a little old, but for a consumer market that's looking for efficiency, that's demanding affordability, I really can't look at the intangibles or the blueprint of this sedan and say it's garbage or it's not that great, because in reality, it is. When it comes to this powertrain, it is smooth, it is quiet. The eCVT is better than the CVT in the full gas-powered model. Sure, this is not going to be a quick car. This is not going to set the world on fire. But this is a sedan that you can drive from point A to point B very comfortably, and also, in the back of your mind, you know that you're getting impeccable fuel economy. It all comes back to that fuel economy. What I also like, too, is that the steering input is decently weighted, even for normal mode. And that gives you a sense of engagement, even though, again, this is not a sports-tuned sedan, but it does give you confidence. Now, with the weight of the electric motors, you definitely feel a lower center of gravity, and this is what you typically experience with EVs and hybrids, and I am not complaining with that at all, because I think it does give you a playful nature to this car when you are just cruising around on back roads like I'm on right now. Also, when you do get deeper into the throttle, at least on these back roads, there's not a lot of droning. This car is actually relatively quiet for what it is. I will say, though, that with the 16-inch wheels, there is some road noise entering the cabin of this car, even without being on the highway. But again, interior insulation is going to be a little lacking here with this being an LE. But for those of you looking for a car under $30,000, this might be the choice. This might be the pick. Even though there's more powerful options out there, for an affordable car, I think it checks off all those boxes. And I personally think it hits its marks and reaches the bare minimum in this market. The only question is all this enough? I think a lot of you will say no. But let's get on the highway here. Let's see what this 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine can do with the electric motors. I have high expectations here. Now, thanks to the lower center of gravity, it handles really well. Its handling alone is kind of an incentive here to buy one. You can really throw it around. And the weighted steering provides so much confidence here. All right, on throttle. Oh, it does a pretty good job. Nice, very nice. I was able to safely merge onto the highway. Now at highway speeds at around 60 miles an hour, road noise isn't that bad. You hear a lot more of that engine more than anything else. Now obviously, again, like I said before, road noise does enter the cabin, mostly because of the tires, and that's to be expected though. But it does have a nice composure on the roadways. Doesn't feel as light on its feet in that way. So I think that from a daily driver's perspective, from an efficient sedan in this class, it checks off those boxes. It really, truly does. However, I think there's a lot of people out there that are watching this video saying this car just isn't enough. And that's partially the problem here in the US market, because Americans demand way too much out of vehicles, and then eventually you're gonna lose a sedan coming in at 25 grand. But for a car at this price point though, I'm actually surprised. But for those of you who are on a stricter budget, that don't need anything fancy or flashy, and you want a brand new car, this is your candidate. This is your candidate right here. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2026 Toyota Corolla LE Hybrid. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.